Hello, today we will conduct an interview with Thorchain representative Chad Barraford. Thorchain is a decentralized and autonomous cross-chain liquidity network. So Thorchain has its own unique blockchain that is designed to solve technical problems related to scaling the network, increasing transactional speeds, preventing double spending, and reducing the computational load. Access to its native and cross-chain liquidity is open to any person, product, or institution. Thank you so much for taking the time stopping by. To start off, I would like to cite on a tweet that Thorchain has retweeted. It takes a while to understand Thorchain, and even after you get it, it seems too good to be true. Is it so?
Yes, it is so. So in Thorchain's history, as a project, we've made some pretty outlandish claims. And so the very first one, which was a cross-chain DEX that is agnostic to chain, work with EVM chains, UTXO chains, layer ones, layer twos, any of it. And for a lot of people in the space, that was kind of a ridiculous claim. But we've actually accomplished that. And we've actually launched that back in April. And so we've proven that that can actually work, and we've done it successfully. I might add that. And so we continue to do more innovative things that kind of challenge the industry's thinking about what is possible in the DeFi space. And we continue to innovate new concepts of how you do lending, for example. One of the things we're talking about with lending is the idea of no liquidations, even if your collateral goes below your debt. And a lot of people think that's not possible, but with it, we figured it out.
What problems does Thorchain attempt to solve, and what is your mission?
Good question. So Thorchain is attempting to solve the problem of centralized exchanges, right? Whenever you want to move from Bitcoin to Ethereum, for example, you have to use a centralized exchange to get you from point A to point B. And that goes completely against the ethos of what crypto is all about being peer-to-peer, not requiring centralized entities to conduct your own business. And so Thorchain's first innovation is its ability to connect and get a consensus on consensus between chain A and chain B, no matter what those chains are. So it can be Bitcoin, it can be Ethereum, it can be Terra, it can be Solana. It can literally be anything in the world. It doesn't really matter.
How does Thorchain's decentralized exchange work, and how does it differ from Uniswap?
It has some similarities to Uniswap in the sense that they're both AMMs, but there are a lot of differences between them. I mean, for one, its slip-based model is very different in terms of how it charges fees. Fees on average are less than what you might find on other AMMs, but the yield that is generated for LPs is higher, as counterintuitive as it might sound. It uses its validators of its own sovereign chain to understand what's happening on remote chains like Bitcoin, like Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, BNB, whatever. And so it can reach a consensus of what's happening on those chains and then facilitate swaps from one chain to another chain in a way that you can do that on Uniswap, but only within that specific ecosystem of Ethereum.
Interesting. So RUNE token has several roles in Thorchain. Could you please expand on those roles?
Yeah, there are quite a few roles for it. It's primarily used first and foremost is for liquidity in the pools. Every pool of the network is comprised of RUNE and some other asset. It might be Bitcoin or Ethereum, but it's always comprised of RUNE, similar to the Bancor style of things. It's used for pools. It's also used for liquidity in terms of the security of the network, the bond of the network. So all the validators bond up RUNE to become a validator and earn yield in that sense of form. It's used to swap between assets if you choose to. You don't have to use RUNE, but you can if you want to. And you can use it as a speculative investment if you really want to in some ways.
Thank you. What is the current state of work on Thorchain's stablecoin?
The project just announced the designs for a stablecoin just recently. Actually, it was just yesterday. And so the community is going to have some time to read it, understand it, comprehend it, comment, discuss, argue, whatever that might be. And so the design is kind of out there for the world to kind of to comprehend and kind of critique it. And if the community feels this is a good design, wants to move forward, it should be on the network within maybe 2 or 3 months.
And of course, we do have to ask, can you tell us about any recent developments, news, or projects that Thorchain currently has in the works?
Oh, how much time you got? Quite a few. So the network just recently added Doge to the network, which is really nice. It also added synthetic assets, so synthetic Bitcoin, synthetic Ethereum, synthetic USDT. Lots of different assets were added in that regard. This week or next week, we'll be adding Terra support for Luna and UST. We got Thor names coming out soon. We got IBC connections. We got DEX aggregation, which allows every DEX in the world to connect with every other DEX. And so every DEX has access to all assets of the entire crypto space, which is pretty amazing to think about. And then we have all like this Thorfi stuff we've been talking about recently about the stablecoin, like you mentioned, lending I mentioned earlier in the conversation, single asset exposure yield, so like an interest-bearing account, if you want to call it that. There's lots of things in the mix. It's pretty intense.
Sounds like a busy year. Chad, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join in, and I do appreciate it. Love the chats, and thank you everybody else for joining in, and I'll see you soon next time.